And good morning. Good Saturday morning. Glad to have you with us. Dark outside on this Saturday morning. Got not used to that. The cloud cover and the time change making it dark as we get here this morning. 8 o'clock, though. It's just not supposed to be dark at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'll tell you that right now. But David Keever, Brett Keever, along with Lenny Anthony, in for Mike Powell today. Mike out of town. Will be back with us next week, I guess. Unless it's an extended stay. Plenty to talk about today. Free agency in the NFL. Baseball is just around the corner. NBA is wide open. College basketball. Lenny, this is your favorite time of year, I'm going to take it. It is college basketball hitting the peak season, the tournament time. We might as well just jump right into it. I opened this morning my page, my ESPN page. The headlines is 74-71 Duke beating North Carolina. And I thought about this, Lenny. I know you were disappointed last night that they didn't complete the comeback. They were just right there, that close.
Ring.
And here's the thing. I don't know if Brett felt like I do or not, but I think both fan bases feel like they lost.
Well,
you know,
right.
You've heard wins before, and you felt like, well, I'm not pleased with that. I mean, yeah, the final score indicates we won, but Duke got manhandled in the second half. They did not play well in the second half at all, and I just came away saying, I even sent Steve K. We're going back and forth too, and I sent him a message. I said I feel like it's a loss. I mean, it's more like a loss, and then his was something about getting totally outplayed. No excuse for that effort in the second half after the way they played in the first half.
Right.
Does that one go down as one of the classics though in the series of all time?
I don't think so.
No, I don't either.
I don't think so. Is it? I mean, I only saw the last 10 minutes, and that was the part I didn't want to see.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, we were at baseball practice. I was keeping up, and I was real surprised Duke was up so big early.
Well, I sent you a message during that. I said at halftime, if Duke plays like that the rest of the year, they'll win the national title.
Well, like they said,
they proved to me real quick they weren't going to play that way.
Well, like you said on TV, it seemed like they were playing to get in. Versus way Carolina was playing. They were flat the first half.
Yep. They were on the floor. It's the first time all year I've seen multiple people dive on the floor for a loose ball for Duke. They don't do that anymore, and I don't know why. I don't know how they got away from things like that about the hard play and the hustle on the court. And they were taking really good shots. Part of that in the second half, though, is not as much Duke as it was Carolina, because Carolina picked up the intensity, played much better defense. They started getting the ball. Duke could not stop Carolina in the paint.
Right.
They
did. Yeah, the fact that
they scored at will.
Carolina didn't have but 3 made threes all night. Lo and behold, it was by the guy that, of course, part of that Duke was letting him have the shot. It was Cadeau. He had the only threes.
Well, that was probably the difference in the game, is that R.J. Davis wasn't making. Honestly, he didn't get a lot of shots.
No, Duke really plays – well, they play good defense, period. But they understand we put a tall guy on RJ and make somebody else, just like it was Brown the game. Well, James just come in last night and kind of did the same role. We're not going to let him beat us,
and he has before.
Yeah,
I don't know. I was going to ask you the question, and this is a question for maybe later. I'm going to save it. Hopefully,
you were asking if talking about it feeling like a loss for both teams. The win for Duke last night was nobody else got hurt. I mean, that's for the last 6 weeks. That's all I've been worried about, because the ACC is so bad, and I don't care if they win the ACC or not. When you're this good, your focus is on a national title.
True.
And they're only going to win a national title if everybody's healthy. Malik Brown might be out of the picture now. I don't know. It's second time.
What is his
injury?
It's
separated shoulder.
Okay.
For the second time this season, and I don't know if he can come back from that. I mean, and he only plays, he only averages 12 minutes a game maybe, but he's pretty impactful in those 12 minutes.
When you get to about the third round of the NCAA tournament, you need those 12 minutes out of everybody you can get.
But Cooper Flagg's got to be as healthy as he can be.
How long would you wait
Well-
to play Cooper Flagg? Obviously he's not going to play today,
No, yeah, he's been ruled out for today.
and then they'll either play Thursday or Friday.
I think it just depends on how much swelling and how
True.
tender his ankle is by then.
And-
they'll probably just
And two,
let him make the decision.
and two, this really they're in, so why risk it?
Yeah,
There's a tomorrow for them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know they're not going to play him. As a matter of fact, I think I saw.
Hey, I believe they said he
already
was
ruled
out.
yeah, they've ruled him out,
Yeah.
and I mean,
But would you go into the? I guess it matters who your opponent is in the first round. I mean, if they get a 1 seed, which they should, they're going to be playing. But they've lost to the 16 seed before.
Well-
It's not like it or a 15 anyway.
yeah,
I think if he's able, he's got to go Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
because you want to get a little.
at
Even
least
if
get
you're
him,
opponent, you want to get some rhythm.
15 minutes.
Yeah, you want to get some rhythm
Yeah.
going into the
Because the second round game is going to be tough.
right. That's
That-
when it starts.
They
really.
are now.
Yeah,
They are now.
I
There's a lot of
saw
good teams.
potential 8 and 9 seeds. UConn, a potential 8 seed. You need everybody in that second round.
And well, I lost my train of thought here, but
Well, I'm going to ask you a question because we've already talked about it before you got here this morning, just a little bit. Carolina in the tournament.
Lenardi says they're the last one out. My statement right now is
But he's about the only one saying
And
that. But
my-
he is great. At
My
what he
statement
does,
right
but-
now is they're not, and here's why. Even if you go by what he says, Memphis absolutely has to win their conference tournament
to get in.
to get in.
But if
I
they
mean,
do,
I mean, if Memphis, if somebody else wins, it,
Memphis is
they're
in.
they're in.
So if they lose,
so it bumps them.
that adds another team.
It bumps
yeah.
them.
Okay.
I, even if they're sitting at the last one in by Lenard, then everybody between now and tomorrow has got to. They're supposed to win.
So are they in the finals?
No, they've got two. They got today. Tomorrow is the
Okay,
final. So
okay,
there's two.
okay.
And then there's another one I throw in the mix. Virginia Commonwealth. I feel like they need to win their conference tournament. And then they said something about UC, California, San Diego, but I don't see that one. I believe those two. But then the issue is Texas. Texas has got so many more quad one wins. So
And Arkansas wasn't that one?
There's
Arkansas that-
several teams in
Yeah.
the SEC that they're
That's amazing how that conference is.
asking
competing
me,
with.
have they done enough? Yeah, but I'm a Carolina fan talking.
When
but
I watch them play, they're a tournament team.
the eye test, I'm like you.
But what's going to stand out is it 1-11 now.
1-12.
1-12 now in the quad one wins.
Right.
Who was their win?
UCLA.
UCLA. So that had to be early in the
so
season.
what was their win over Wake Forest the other day? That wasn't
Said
quad
that was,
one.
said that was a quad two. They said
What determines? Do we?
Well, we've been sent the info
well-
before, and it's like
the ranking.
if you beat, I think you got to beat a top 25 team at home.
Yeah,
a top 50 team if it's a road game.
right. And then
And I don't know about the neutral
And
site.
it's, yeah, I don't know. It's
So I thought the Wake Forest win might have been a
so
quad
it's just
one.
on. And is that when you say a top 25 in the poll, top 25 in RPI, top 25
it's-
in
Yeah, it's in.
what category?
It's not in the AP poll. It's one of the other metrics they
Yeah,
use.
there's a-
It. I don't think it's RPI either. I think it's something BPI or something. I can't remember what it is, but
and
yeah, I thought the Wake Forest win might have been a good enough win to get them in. I thought they were in after they beat Wake
well,
Forest.
my gut feeling was, and this was a week ago, that I felt like the ACC would get 4, but I said Carolina's got to get over. They got to get over SMU and Wake. They got to get above them. Well, they've done that,
Yeah.
but you still have to look at the rest of the country. You always know they're going to be upsets.
I think they'll get in, and I don't know.
I think they will.
Memphis is in the AAC, so they got
AAC.
Tulane today, and who's on the other side of that?
North Texas and somebody. I'm not sure. They're a number 2 seed, I think.
Has Memphis just dominated that conference all year, or obviously they probably lost a game
looks
or
like
two,
it.
right?
And-
Well, that'd be the best thing.
And I look at Memphis
For
too.
Carolina.
Yeah, Memphis went 16-2 in the conference. North Texas 14-4.
And Memphis plays a good, strong outside non-conference
Right,
schedule.
right.
So even if they don't win it, they're in.
Yeah.
And so they have to win. That's
So what would kill the Heels would be Memphis don't win the tournament.
Right.
And somebody else takes another spot that's going to be automatic.
And then out in that Big West or whatever, New Mexico and Boise State. Now they're all out there fighting. I don't know how many they get, but I don't know if Boise State needs to keep winning or does not. Right now that was Lenardi. He was saying they were in after they won last night, but that.
I want to read a couple comments we got here. Ned says, "Well, man-made time started back up last Sunday morning, talking about the." Daylight savings time. Monty says, "Good morning, STG. Yankees are 10-9 for the spring. Hopefully, Heels get in the tourney." I think they have a lot of things going for them. You can't. Whenever you're selecting, you're human, so you can't overlook tradition.
Right.
I mean, you say you can, but you really can't because you know what their history is.
Brand still means something, depending on who you're paired against.
Yep.
And in that last one or two in.
And honestly, it's a good TV draw too.
True.
Yeah. I think them or Arkansas, either one.
Right.
Or with Calipari and Arkansas doesn't have quite Carolina's tradition, but they are the solid program.
But Calipari
they got a big time coach,
and it's about the coaches,
Right.
The college basketball.
And I mean,
is about the coaches.
I think Carolina is capable of beating a lot of teams. I think Arkansas is better than Carolina just from watching them play.
From the metrics,
just
I understand
from the eye test. Texas, I don't know about. I hadn't seen them enough to know. I would assume Carolina is better.
But they got eliminated yesterday, right?
Yeah,
Tennessee.
Yes.
Yeah, these Final Four in the SEC is. I mean, that could be the Final Four of the big tournament.
So it's Auburn, Alabama.
Yeah, Tennessee plays Auburn, Alabama plays Florida.
Oh my gosh!
So
that is a great tournament.
You know what? All four of them will be either 1 or 2 seeds, won't they?
Yeah.
Would Tennessee be?
I think Tennessee's a 2. Yeah.
Certainly. They're saying that now that was last night, but before today's play, they're still – and they're saying –
And if Auburn doesn't win that tournament, I would guess whoever wins it will be a 1, and Auburn will be a 1.
Yeah. I think Duke, Auburn, and Houston are all 1s.
Yeah.
And then the next one after that, right now they're saying Florida.
Yeah.
And if Florida wins, they will be. If Alabama wins it, they will be.
I only watched Florida play one time, and I think I told a lot of people, that's your national champion.
The one team creeping up there that hadn't really been talked about that I like is Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in the semifinals of the Big Ten. And if they win that one and Auburn wins the SEC tournament, I could see Michigan State getting that last
getting a
1 seed.
Yes, that could.
And they're trying to get one more for Izzo before he retires. How old is Tom Izzo now? He's always been one of my favorites. Brett knows that.
I'd say 66 maybe.
Probably,
60, somewhere in that range.
If Duke doesn't win it, I would love to see Michigan
I'll pull for
State
Izzo when he's playing anybody other than Duke. I'll pull for Izzo.
But they got Michigan State, Wisconsin, and then Michigan and Maryland in the Final Four of that tournament. Maryland is. I don't know if you've seen Maryland play, but they are good.
They're good too.
Yeah. Who's the head coach at Maryland now?
Willard. Ralph Willard's son. I can't think of his first.
Ralph Willard's son.
I can't. Ralph Willard was a big-time assistant with Calipari Patino at Kentucky. Many years.
Well,
Kevin Willard.
Kevin Willard.
Mentioning that name, what about St. John's?
Yeah.
How high can they be seated?
The 2, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
They're that good?
Yeah. I think
honestly, it's good to see that team or a team from New York in that area.
I think the Big East will get
making a statement.
A 2 seed, whoever the.
And what are they? Are they in the finals today? Or
they're in the finals with Creighton.
Creighton and St. John's. Yeah. And Creighton is a team I've seen in a projected bracket as an 8 or 9 seed.
Yeah.
And that's tough. A second round game for a 1. You got to play Creighton or UConn.
And this was just a mock. I don't even know whose it was, but somebody did a mock seeding of the whole. And it had Duke a number 1 seed in the East. And they were going to play one of the 2 teams that play on Tuesday. This was just a mock draft, like the 2 that play in. But then the next, the 8 and 9 had Connecticut and Mississippi State.
Yeah,
that was how that was how it was paired.
Did I say correctly? NC State's a host.
I don't know. I hadn't
know.
seen anything about it.
I think I saw maybe
Then it
a
would be-
month or 2 months
That
ago
may be true.
That NC State. So it's not. If that's the case, it won't be anything in Charlotte.
It'd be in Raleigh.
Yeah.
If they're the host.
I mean, but they're usually. I mean, I don't know. It seems like more often than not, there's basketball in Charlotte or Greensboro. One.
Charlotte, Greensboro normally is the two
Yeah.
sites, but
But I'm guessing like if what I read, if I remember it correctly, if NC State's the host, you'll play it in their building, wouldn't they?
yeah, we'd be at the.
Yeah.
It's not the RBC Center anymore, but that's what it used to be called.
The off campus arena.
the off-campus arena. Yeah,
Whatever it is.
whatever it is.
That's the place that Duke struggles. Whatever it's called.
Yep. Yep. What do you make, while we're on that, what do you make of NC State and getting rid of the coach that quickly after going to the Final Four? Help me with his name.
Well,
Kevin Keats.
Kevin Keats.
Yeah, I was surprised that he didn't get, that Final Four run didn't get him an
Couple
extra
years.
year or two.
Usually you do something like that, your contract's extended right after the season. I'm guessing
And
his
I-
wasn't.
I think it was, but
Yeah, I
guess
thought it was, too.
I think
Oh.
it exceeded. I think. I think so. I don't know how many more years it was extended, but it was extended.
My thoughts are always when you fire a coach or want to trade a player, who you going to get that's better. So you better,
I've heard mention of the VCU coach as a candidate.
They've
for
not been
NC State's
consistent.
Yeah,
I will
job.
say
I've
that.
heard that too. I read somewhere, and that's Dave Odom's son.
Oh,
Ryan,
is it?
Ryan Odom? That
Okay.
played, when Virginia lost in Maryland, Baltimore County, he was the coach, the first 16th seed to win. But then I did hear this, said that he was a candidate for state if Virginia didn't grab him up.
And Virginia's
Before
open,
then.
right?
Yeah.
They just got to enter him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they said they're not bringing him
Yeah,
back
they're
as
not
the
bringing
head
him
coach.
The other name I've mentioned, heard real strong at state, is the old VCU coach.
Shaka.
No, after Shaka.
Where is Shaka?
Will Wade, who's now at,
He's at Marquette, I
at
think.
McNeese State.
Okay.
But he was
Yeah, I remember
he was
that
at
name.
he was at LSU, and they almost shut the program down because of some of his recruiting. In fact, I think LSU was told fire him, and we won't give you the death penalty or whatever. So they did.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
but now I guess
That's a good trade.
since it's
See
since
you.
it's since it's now since you can pay him, I guess he's good to go now. So he was doing what you can do now.
Yeah.
Legally.
He was the, I think he was the coach when Ben Simmons was at
He was
LSU.
He was, and the guy that
What's the guy's name that kind of ran from the law for years? They played at Pitt. Nah, I ought to give it away. He played at Pitt, and then he went on to coach. He had teams in the Final Four, I think. Who am I thinking of there?
Ben Howland. Is that who you were thinking?
No. Man, he was a coach at a very young age. It'll come to me maybe in a little bit, but I know he played. I'm pretty sure he played at the University of Pittsburgh, and then he got into coaching. He got into trouble with money.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Sean Miller.
Sean Miller.
Sean
That's
Miller.
it.
Oh, yeah.
So where is
Yeah.
he these days?
He's Xavier.
So he is coaching Xavier.
Yeah, he's back at Xavier. Yeah, he was kind of giving, I think, that ultimatum.
Well, I was thinking
Arizona was kind of giving that ultimatum too.
Right.
You fire him, and we'll go lighter on you on.
But was he doing anything that wouldn't be okay today?
Probably not now. That's what I
Okay,
said. Now,
okay.
I mean,
He was
I didn't know if there was more to it than just the
on
money
NC
and
State
thing.
staff at one
He
time.
was,
yeah.
Yep.
And there was talk about them hiring him a couple times.
Was
I
he on
think.
state staff or was his brother on the state staff?
Archie.
Archie. I know.
And
he
Archie
was,
played. He played at state, didn't
yeah.
he? Yeah.
I remember.
But you're right. He played at Pitt.
Yeah. Sean went from Xavier to Arizona and now back to Xavier.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys can remember names. I can't remember names anymore. I do remember this name last night, and I want to get your thoughts on this, Lenny, because I thought it was comical. Boeheim's comments after the game. You know where I'm going?
Talking about how well they played, and he said, "I don't like.
I don't particularly like them."
Yeah,
Did you hear that?
Uh-uh.
He was talking about Carolina.
I did hear
and he
that.
said, "I don't particularly like them, but they earned their way." He said they
Yeah,
ought to be
he
in the
did.
tournament.
He
you
did.
know? He said they ought to be in the tournament. I don't know if that's a backhanded compliment or how you take that, but he played against him so many years, and he was
True.
And to be honest, right here, I'll tell you, he's always been good friends with Krzyzewski.
I was going to say, yeah,
So-
he's served on his staff at the Olympics.
So
and,
he probably always hoped Duke won the games with Carolina, but it was just funny. And you know what? Here's the thing about it: when you get that age and you've retired and everything, you say it, nobody thinks anything about
That's true.
it. I mean, it's just. But I like the honesty that he just sat there and said, "I don't particularly like him."
I did.
And he was
hear
sitting
that.
right beside of
Joe Barry.
Yeah. He just grinned, But I'll say this about it though: if most of the time if you're not well liked, it's because you're winning more.
True.
Over the other team, especially against the other team's head coach there. Let's see. Monty says, "Good morning, Delaney." He brings a lot to the show. Of course he does. This man is. Let's see. I was trying to think of who it is. Lenny knows a lot of history in sports, and especially I think in college basketball. Is that you follow that closer?
Yeah, I do.
Anything else? Do you? I know you follow. Monty, you'll love this. He's a big Red Sox fan.
Yeah, you can't be right on with everything, can we, Monty?
When we talk about the Yankees, we don't particularly like them.
That's right.
To use a Boeheim quote. You seem kind of like me. I don't know if you've ever. I'm gonna guess. Lenny was a Colts fan back in.
I was. when they were the real Colts.
Yeah, Baltimore.
Yeah.
There are so many people around here about that age that really pulled for the Colts and Johnny Unitas when they became popular and came on the scene. So it had to be disappointing, very disappointing, when the Jets beat them in the Super Bowl. What was that, number 3? Super Bowl 3 when they lost to the Jets.
Yep.
And that was Shula was the head coach then, right?
Lanny's over here showing me all kinds of Colt paraphernalia. Then.
Real Colt paraphernalia.
Johnny U was the quarterback then when they lost to the Jets, and
he had been best I can remember. I was, I guess, 9 years old, but he was hurt most of the year. I think Moore was when it took him.
Yeah, that's what I was.
But then
thinking
Unitas,
too.
I think when they actually got to the Super Bowl, I think he started, but I can't remember if he was replaced somewhere during the game or not. I can't remember, but
Richard, I would mention your message you sent me here, but you left out Duke, so I'm not going to. I'm just kidding. He says, I believe UNC will be in the NCAA tournament. It's better with them in it, just like Kentucky, Kansas, etc. Maybe etc. means Duke. I'll take that for what it is. Even if you don't particularly like them. That's going to be our quote of the day.
Yeah.
I don't particularly like them.
That's true.
He can say that. They also have a top sales merchandise, so if it's 50-50, I think they put them in my opinion. Yep.
I'm going to ask David. And
I agree that they go with that.
Yeah.
Should they go with that kind of stuff? No, they really
No.
shouldn't. But they should put in who they think is the better teams or who has the better resume. Carolina, don't get me wrong, Carolina would beat 50% of the teams that are going to be in this tournament.
True.
But that's not the way they do it.
But that's not the way.
You know? Otherwise, you'd never see some of these mid-majors make the tournament if they did it that way because –
Well, me and my friend were talking. Yes, Ernie Bridges. Ernie, if you're out there, hey, we were talking the other day. If you took the top 4 or 5 teams in the ACC and put them in the SEC this year, they could have competed. But the biggest problem with the ACC is the bottom so weak, you know.
Yeah.
And that hurt them in the conference when you don't play a true double schedule. And you don't get this. But what did I hear last night? The Louisville Clemson game was the first ranked. It was the 193rd game before there was two ranked teams from the ACC going against each other. And that was last night.
93 games?
I believe that's what it would be, conference games.
Right.
And
wow.
And I thought,
well, yeah,
that's
when
almost
Duke played Clemson and Louisville, they weren't ranked at that time.
That's true. I mean, that still kind of blew my mind of how.
And they made it all the way up to one of them's 10th, right? Is Clemson 10th right now?
Yeah.
What seed do you think Clemson will get going into the tournament? Will Louisville get a higher one?
Yeah,
After
Louisville's
winning?
beat them twice now.
Have they?
Yeah. Yeah,
I'd say Louisville's probably a. If they win today, I'd say they're a 3.
They're a 3.
If they lose, probably a 4, and
4.
Clemson a 5.
Okay. I can see that. I was just trying to think of how, the depth.
Louisville's had such a big turnaround from. I mean, they were awful last year.
Let me ask
New
you.
coach, second year
Yeah,
coach,
first year
First
from
year.
College
Yeah.
of Charleston.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And his name is. Do you remember it?
Yes, none slips my mind. Pat Kelsey.
Yeah, Kelsey.
Pat Kelsey, and he was before that. He was at Winthrop,
Is he
head coach at Winthrop before he went to College of Charleston, and
not kin to the football Kelseys?
no,
Kelsey.
not even spelled.
Richard's not a true fan of Carolina. I just figured that out. In tournament, I actually pull for Duke unless they play UNC. Brett, do you actually pull for Carolina unless if they're not playing Duke?
No.
Lenny, do you pull for Duke? Nope.
No,
Okay.
You got to be honest.
That wouldn't be. Yeah. I mean, there are people like that. Don't get me wrong.
No, when it comes to Carolina in the tournament, I don't care how far they go. I just don't want them to win at all.
Right.
That's how I feel.
Well, I mean, Duke and Carolina both. If you don't win a national title, it's a failure.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm gonna ask both of y'all
just that far along.
this question from last night. I know you've seen the whole game. You said you saw
I just saw the last 10 minutes.
Did you not think this was just? I mean, Flag's gonna be back, so that's a non-issue. But did y'all not get a sense down the stretch when Carolina was really making that hard push that then all of a sudden Duke was looking like somebody to take over and he wasn't there?
Yeah.
When you're up 20, you can play loose and free. But when Carolina was making that late run, it was almost like the sense of Duke. Like, where's Cooper at? And nobody really wanted to
Duke
take.
was even having trouble making a good pass up at the top of the key. It's like they weren't decisive, and they were making bad passes. It just
and you didn't see
they looked real out of sync.
And you didn't see that, but I thought Carolina looked the same way the last 5-6 minutes of the first half. They were, just discombobulated, one-on-one, just going to the one-on-one, no ball movement, and people can get on Withers, but that's one play. I mean, the only thing is that it's just under the microscope because of the way it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of other things you got to do to.
Well, you know that Carolina's not going to lay down. They're going to try and make a run. Duke played like they didn't expect them.
Right. That's true.
The second half, they played like they didn't expect them to try and come back and make a push.
And I think it was very similar to the first meeting where, Duke had a big, comfortable lead at halftime, and then when they came out in the second half, they just extended that lead, and they probably expected to do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, and it's Duke, Carolina, but still, when you go into halftime and you're up 21 points, it's hard to come back and play like you did
with
before.
That same intensity.
Even when it's Carolina, you would think if it anybody it would be against Carolina, but it's hard to play with that type of intensity. And I thought Carolina, when they came out to start the second half, Duke extended it to 24, and they were in a position that they could have rolled over. But I've been one of his biggest critics the last month, but I thought Cadeau was real active, and he had a lot of fire. And then as they started making a little, then other people joined in, But there's one time when he drove in on top of the pile, and he's all about a half Dougie's player. But I thought he played with intent. And I've been his big critic of him, but I thought his intensity finally brought some of the others to join in the mix.
My thoughts on Cadeau are he is the top player on that team with basketball knowledge.
Yeah.
He's smart on the court.
Yeah.
He knows what he's looking 2 passes ahead, 3
Right.
passes ahead, and he always has. And that's what makes him good. He got in foul trouble too early. That hampered him a little bit. Read a couple more of these. Yes, Richard, I am going to finish your text because it is a good reason for you to pull for Duke. He said I'm a rarity because I had a close relationship with Max Crowder when I used to work at Cherryville. Max Crowder was a long-time Duke trainer. And he said he used to work at Cherryville Country Club as a teenager, Richard did, and had some great stories. And then I got a couple more here. Don Revels says Sean and Archie Miller are the nephews of longtime New Hanover coach Joe Miller. How about that? New Hanover playing for a state title today.
Yep.
Against North Mac, a rematch from last year. Is that right?
That's right. New Hanover, the all-time, we talked about that a week or two ago, got the most basketball state titles in the state.
Yeah.
And so they're nephews. Wow.
That's what he says.
And I'm thinking that
Joe Miller.
I'm thinking that Don can probably. I'm thinking that their dad was their high school coach too, the Millers in the Pittsburgh area. He might can clarify that.
Well, here's his second sentence in that. He says he was there when I was in school at UNC Wilmington. He passed away in 2014. So that's the uncle, right? Joe Miller, the uncle. Monty says, I think Cooper is the best player today, but really don't care for his mom. Well, I don't care. That's fine because she don't play. Don says correct. Thank you, Don, on the
If
uncle.
Duke played with the fire that she has in the stands, they would that which sounds like what they did last night in the first half.
Well, I'm gonna sound like I'm an idiot then.
She is intense.
Really, I hadn't even noticed. And Brett knows I haven't watched near as many basketball games this year up until now. I started watching quite a few in the last 2 weeks of the regular season maybe, and now into the tournament. But I have not noticed, so I'll have to pay more attention to that. And you know how everybody knows how moms can be.
True.
I mean, yeah, and you can't blame them. A lot of them are going to be over the top.
And she's a former basketball player herself.
Okay.
Okay.
College.
I think so. I think her and Con Knippel's mom were both good basketball players.
Okay. Cooper Flagg gets all the credit, and well deserved. But Knippel is one of the best freshmen I've seen come in a long time.
That's true.
He plays. The weird thing about him is he plays like he's a senior.
True.
He don't turn it over. At first of the year, I couldn't stand him.
Yeah, I told you that this is the most mature group of freshmen, especially Flagg and Knippel. It's like I think they usually these last several years they hadn't won because they're so young, but these freshmen are mature.
And
at least those two.
I couldn't stand him because I thought he shot too much early in the year. Now at the end of the year, I'm like, shoot the ball.
And
he's not shooting as many threes as he was earlier in the year. He's going to the hole more,
and he's a big guy.
making the right pass.
And
a
I've
lot
been
of
sitting
times.
here watching him all year, and I'm saying, who does he look like? I don't say necessarily play like, but I kept saying, who's this guy look like? And it finally came to me this weekend. Not as good as him, but still a good player. Matt Harpering that played at Georgia Tech about 20 years ago. I mean, he built like a Marine.
Yeah.
And but I was saying, who's this guy remind me of? Who's this guy remind me? Finally, that come to me.
We need to take our first time out. And, Brett, get your lyrics ready.
Okay.
Lenny, did you bring lyrics?
I think I'm going to pull up some, but I'll have them.
I want to mention this, though, before we go to break. Who is the hated Duke player right now? Cooper Flagg. I've not heard people, Carolina fans always select a white guy on Duke that they hate. And for years it was Leitner, Reddick, who was it?
Grayson Allen.
Grayson. Oh, well, everybody hated Grayson Allen. But then there was another one even more recent than that, I think, but that I can't.
Yeah, Grayson Allen and Leitner, they deserved it a little more than Reddick did.
Yeah. So now I'm wondering, is it Knippel or Flagg or neither one, or they just hate them all? But
well, Leitner, Reddick, and Grayson Allen all played 4 years. And that makes a big difference.
Monty said it's Cooper's mom.
It's if Flagg or Knippel stayed 4 years, they'd be hated.
I agree. They
don't have time.
There's not the staying time, and
that's true.
And probably right now, probably Flagg. But like Monty says, the mom has probably you insinuating it. You make it Flagg. It's kind of the way.
It multiplies a little bit whenever she's involved with it as well. Which one would you say? Well, Kentucky hated Leitner more than anybody else, which is they still sell shirts in Kentucky that say, I still hate Leitner. Of course, the Duke sells them now that says, I love Leitner. And Brett and I own 6 apiece. But I just wonder who it is today because I really hadn't heard that much about – and maybe you guys hit the key right there. He hadn't been around long enough yet for that to happen. And neither one of them is going to be around long enough. That's just the way of college basketball today. You've been fortunate, Lenny. I'm telling you right now. You had Baycott stay a long time,
5 years.
and you've had RJ
stay 5 years. Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's that don't happen much anymore. And I'm going to be completely honest right here. Where's Baycott today?
He's in NBA Development League somewhere.
Okay. So he made the right decision to stay that long. He probably got some money in the last couple of years.
I thought he had went overseas, but he's somewhere in the NBA with one of the teams in the NBA Development League, but I'm not sure.
I've always thought if you can go on to the pros, take away the risk of injury, go ahead and go and get paid, do it. But I didn't know. I didn't know.
He was never going to be a sure thing.
No.
So he did the right thing.
What's he missing to be an NBA starter?
For one, I don't think he can score from outside.
He didn't have the
4 feet
game.
away from the basket.
Yeah.
But the NBA don't have people like that?
Nah.
Okay.
Not really nowadays. Okay. It's face to basket.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Rather than back to the basket.
That answers my question. But
unless you're an absolute
RJ Davis
rim protector, and then that's your job. My job is to protect the basket.
Monty says Baycott is in the NBA Development League. Also owns 3 hotels now.
Yeah, and that was some of his investing when he was still at Carolina.
He's hopefully wisely.
He's kind of just big and slow. He's like a Rudy Gobert type, but not as tall and not the defensive player Gobert is.
Okay,
if he was 7'2", then he'd probably be playing in the NBA.
Before we take
now.
his time out, then how about RJ Davis? I mean, he stayed as long as he can at Carolina. Is it because he's afraid he won't have a career?
I don't think he will.
Same scenario. Okay. Not tall enough. Don't meet the
Yeah.
pedigree of the what a
Who was the guard they had that was almost a carbon copy of him, like last year? Or I mean, I thought they had two that were almost just alike. It was R.J. Davis. And,
Davis and Caleb Love for
that's it.
a few years were the
and he's
duo.
somewhere else.
He's
now,
at Arizona.
He's at Arizona.
But he's more of the NBA body type.
He's got the body type.
He's more athletic.
Spat. Are
yeah.
they the ones involved in the?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll leave it at that. Let's take our time out. Brett, what's your lyrics?
Lights out tonight, trouble in the heartland.
We'll be back here in just a moment.
The Get Out and Ride sales event is underway at Full Throttle Power Sports in Lowell. Get up to $3,000 off select models of Yamaha side-by-sides. But that's not all. See the Suzuki King Quad with 0% financing for up to 36 months or $2,000 in customer cash back. And see the legendary Kawasaki Ninja bikes. And see the new Ninja Razor Pro lineup. All at Full Throttle Power Sports, 100 Indian Walk in Lowell. Online at ncfullthrottle.com.
Rhodes and Bill Oil Company in Lincoln has been serving the Piedmont of North and South Carolina since 1919. Sure, they deliver to your home with home heating oils. They'll help keep you warm, but they do a whole lot more. They feature bulk fuel delivery, on-site and commercial fueling, backup generator fueling, and farm and agricultural fueling. For home or business or farms, call on Rhodes and Bill Oil Company in Lincoln, 704-735-2508. Online at rhodesandbill.com, located at 1404 East Main Street in Lincoln. Like them on Facebook, too.
Buying a Bobcat is now easier than ever at West End Sales in Vail. Now get 0% APR financing. That means low monthly payments. Or you can get $1,200 instant rebates on selected models. Now is the time to buy. Like we said, it's easier than ever. Again, get 0% APR financing or get $1,200 instant rebate on selected Bobcat models at West End Sales at the Highway 1827 West intersection in Vail. Online at westendsales.com and like them on Facebook too.
This is Creighton Kell with Kell Insurance. We have been helping people for over 25 years with all their Medicare needs. We represent the same national and local companies as the insurance agencies you see on TV. And you know what? We can sit down with you one-on-one and help you find the right plan just for you.
Kell Insurance is located beside the Cultural Center and behind Gillum Realty in downtown Lincoln. 107 North Cedar Street. Call 704-732-4646 and follow them on Facebook. Kell Insurance.
Look who just flew into town. Wild Birds Unlimited has expanded their nature shop, the latest in beautiful Denver, North Carolina. You'll want to take the short drive from Lincolnton for all your seeds and feeders, hobby guides, gift cards, and more. Philip and Renee look forward to seeing you soon, and tell them that WLON sent you. Wild Birds Unlimited, now serving Lincoln and Catawba counties. Wild Birds Unlimited.
At Scooters Coffee, we like to think of ourselves as day makers. A quick stop at Scooters can mean a fresh start to the morning, a midday break, or an afternoon reward to a long, busy day. Scooters Coffee has hot drinks, cold drinks, protein shakes, smoothies, and don't forget their great selection of food items. And Scooters reminds you to have an amazing day with a sticker on every item. Stop by 689 North Highway 16, Denver today. Scooters Coffee, serving smiles every day.
Welcome back. Glad to have you with us. Let's see. Jason sends me a novel here this morning. The novel says, as a Carolina fan, the thing that disappointed me about the game is that they started another game versus a ranked team so flat. Just repeating themselves. Playing another ranked team and started so flat and slow. I don't know why it takes them getting down 20 points for them to wake up and play with intensity. You agree with that, Lenny?
That's kind of been their theme.
Their theme this year.
One of the first games I watched was Carolina and Kansas, and they got down big and came back and almost won that one.
It's not been that obvious the last month, but then again, I'll say this. Some of the competition they was playing wasn't as strong in the conference, So the winning at 80 your last 10, but then again the two that you lost were to Duke, and how you can't get up for them.
He also says I watched Seth Trimble's post game interview, and he said at halftime if it was himself, Elijah Davis, Hubert's son, who is redshirting, and another player who basically had to come to Jesus talk with the teammates. So, I'm going to tell you right now, I've watched Seth Trimble a couple times this year. He is NBA talent.
He is.
I like him. I mean, I don't know. He's maybe a little bit raw, but he's very athletic.
He's probably the best athlete.
Yep.
Needless to say, maybe the best athlete on the floor last night with
Yep.
Both sides.
Yeah, with flag out.
I would agree with that.
With flag out.
Yeah, he's scary going to the hole. Duke couldn't stay in front of him, and it seemed like they fouled him every time he went to the basket.
Ned says Baycott is with Memphis, the Memphis Hustle, having a good season. Ask Dustin Richardson. Baycott's mom is a real estate agent in Virginia. So, okay, that explains the hotel connection. Started to say the hotel chain, but the hotel connection. Trimble hustles fearless. Yes, he does.
Yeah, he's fearless.
He plays, and he's very athletic, can jump. He's smooth. Got a pretty good shot.
If he could develop a little bit more on his outside shot, he's an NBA type player.
Yeah.
He is. He's NBA,
and he
talent.
will. What year is he?
He's a junior.
Junior.
Yeah, his size, he's got to be able to shoot.
Yeah.
To go to play in the NBA because he's not real tall.
All right, Brett, give us those lyrics again.
Lights Out Tonight, Trouble in the Heartland. Got a head-on collision smashing in my guts, man.
You don't know that one, Lanny? The Boss, Bruce Springsteen. Badlands. Yep. I wouldn't expect Lanny to be a fan. It's not. Let me tell you, Lanny likes it. You're not going to like Bruce Springsteen and like God. Who's the band I'm trying to think of?
ABBA.
Yeah. ABBA would. That's where I was getting. No, it's Bread. Bread.
Yacht Rock.
If you're gonna like Yacht Rock, you're not gonna be.
Yeah, that's where they got that channel, Yacht Rock.
Yep.
They got to have a place for him.
I have seen Bruce 4 times, and if he comes again, I'll be there again. Brett said he's seen him 3, and I think we did maybe 2 of those together. Brett and I have been to some good concerts together, one of the best, I think, and so glad we got to do that. This one was Tom Petty, and we got to go with Gene Reed while he was still alive to see Tom Petty.
That was in '99. That was my first.
That was your first concert,
yep.
Wasn't it? 1999. Boy, you telling how old I am.
Mickey Mantle go with y'all?
Mickey Mantle was right there with us.
He was there in spirit.
Yeah, he was there in spirit. He was probably up on the stage with Tom and the boys. Yeah, just glad I got to see Tom Petty before he passed away, because Tom Petty passed away. You talking about sudden and out of nowhere?
Yeah, I was still thinking at that point I was going to get to see him again.
Exactly. I mean, that was a shocker. What year was that? Has it been 10 years now?
Yeah,
close
right at it.
Close, yeah.
That one really hurt. They all hurt. But
I think him and David Bowie were around the same time.
Yep. But, that's lyrics Bruce Springsteen, one of my favorite songs by him, so that one wasn't too hard.
2017
for me.
Tom Petty.
2017, so 8 years.
Hadn't it?
Yeah. His songs are still played everywhere, and especially in the swamp.
Yeah.
When
in fact, he's probably more popular, his songs now, after death, really, the way they play them.
A Florida native, and the University of Florida plays his Won't Back Down at the end of the third quarter of every home football game. So, and I've seen some other colleges start playing that as well in the last couple years. But that's I think that's a great way to, what's the word I'm looking for? Acknowledge or something, somebody, or honor somebody. Great way to honor somebody like that. Let's see, just looking through here real quick. Michigan State was a winner yesterday over Oregon, 74-64. It's still it's shocking that that's a conference game to me. Of course, you look up in Charlotte, and you got what were the new teams that were playing this year? Cal and
Stanford played each other.
SMU.
Yeah.
They didn't make much of a dent in the tournament, though, did they? I mean, if Cal and Stanford played each other, somebody had to win.
Yeah.
Stanford's pretty good. Cal's not.
And
Stanford almost beat Louisville.
I made a statement too. They had both of them two teams had to go all the way across the country to play each other.
Yeah.
In the tournament.
Yeah. Well, that's we've seen state championship games that in high school and stuff, it involved 2 local teams, and they still have to drive to Chapel Hill to play each other. Who was the son of the pro player, a foreign player that was on one of those teams? One of either Stanford or Cal or who's the other, SMU. I think he was on Cal's team, and his dad was there to watch. And
Stojakovic. Yeah, Rudy.
Peja
son plays for.
And his son's good.
And here's a little twist. You know where he played last year, but not this year, but last year.
No,
Stanford.
Oh, really?
That's like going from Duke to Carolina or Carolina to Duke.
So, okay, Stanford to Cal.
Oh,
well, he had 37 in that game against Stanford.
So he's going to have some kind of connection to the band game, the football game that was called the band game.
The band is on the field.
Yeah, too early. That's still shown a lot as well. Jason says Baycott plays for Memphis, G League team. He's been dominant in recent weeks. Let's see. He's been dominant in recent weeks. He's averaging 18 points and 10 rebounds a game. He's also shooting. So that's with the Grizzlies. That's what I was trying to look at. He's in the Grizzlies farm system, basically. Making 3-point shot with regularity. He was recently a guest on Shaq's podcast. Who don't have a podcast?
That's the truth.
It's gotten ridiculous. I want to hear Michael Parsons' podcast this upcoming week. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to listen to that, but I love what the player that left the Cowboys said to Michael Parsons. Did you guys hear that? Shaq commended him for his play and stated that it was back on Baycott that he should have been drafted. He told Baycott that the only thing he had to improve is to stop being nice and play with more of an attitude and meanness. Shaq also said this week, the words I heard out of Shaq's mouth, Steph Curry's the greatest NBA player of all time. What do you guys think about that comment? He has changed the game. He has come in and changed the game. I think there are 4 people now you can
He has
talk
changed
about.
the game for sure. He's not the best player of all time.
I think he's the greatest shooter of all time.
Oh, yeah. No
I
doubt
think-
about that.
I think there are 4 people you can clearly say, if you wanted to, and make an argument for the greatest NBA player of all time. And I'm not going back way back. I'm not going back into Bill Russell days because I didn't get to see him
You don't
play and
remember him
stuff like
playing,
that.
yeah. Just heard about it.
But Jordan is one. Obviously, LeBron is one. And I'll give Steph Curry that because Shaq's saying it, and Shaq's so influential. Who do you think my 4th one is? Who do you guys think my 4th one is? That I'm going to give you – it's going to be a hint here. When it's all said and done, his numbers are going to be like none other. His numbers are going to blow everybody else's away if he's healthy and has a long career.
Is he there?
Got you thinking a little bit.
Is he there?
Is he where?
Is he there in the league?
Yeah.
Oh, he's there already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's why I'm saying his numbers are on pace. I'll give you a hint. He had 2 triple-doubles the other night in one game.
The Joker.
That's it.
Joker.
That's it. And you can't argue it. If you're going by numbers and strictly by numbers, his are going to blow everybody's away.
He's a top 5 or 10 offensive player of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean,
So is Steph Curry.
whenever you okay, is he that bad on defense that you wouldn't consider it?
That I wouldn't put him in the top 4 players of all time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's your 4th?
Well, Curry's not in my top 4.
I'm just saying if he can stay healthy and continue to put those numbers up,
I'm very biased.
his numbers are going
and
to
I'm
blow
putting
everybody
Kobe
away.
and Magic Johnson both in my top 4 of all time. You can't have a top 4 and not put a Laker in it.
Well, it's hard. It's hard not to. I agree with that, but if you want to go by numbers, then Kareem is.
Yeah, that's fine too.
Yeah, Kareem's up there.
I mean, LeBron is a Laker now, but I'm not.
He's the Kareem of the crop.
I'm still saying an all-time Laker like Magic and Kobe. And Kareem was a long-time Laker, but that's not the only.
The
team he
one
played
thing
for.
that the Joker will be missing, though, that all these other people are going to have, is the amount of titles. I don't know how many he can win.
Yeah,
if he stays on that squad, stays in Denver.
They
if he has to go
hadn't
somewhere else,
done a good job keeping a really good team around it.
Yeah. But boy, if he had that now, if he, will he one day be a Laker?
I doubt it.
Do you? But do you see him staying in Denver his whole career?
It's hard to say. I don't know.
How old is he? He's not real old, even though he looks like
He
he's
looks
60.
old, but he's not that old.
around 30, maybe.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, I'll just look him up right quick.
It's just
They just
kinda
played
like-
the Lakers last night.
you know, I understand.
He is 30.
He
just turned 30.
American bias because we're all Americans, but I mean this guy's come in and just set the numbers system on fire, and he does it almost every night. And just to be quite honest, who's his other 4 starters on that team? Can you name them?
Yeah, Jamal Murray is the second best player.
Right.
He's one of them Porter kid guys.
Yeah, Michael Porter Jr.
But he don't have the supporting cast that these other guys do. That are, like Curry, he's got a great supporting cast around him. LeBron usually does, but it's just he don't have a Pippen. I'll say that, a Scottie Pippen helping alongside him. So got a lot of good things going for him, but he will never get, probably because he's a foreign player, he'll never get the recognition that some of the other ones will, in my opinion. But he's fun to watch. He looks like, if you saw him on the street, you'd think, no way, this guy's a basketball player, except for his height.
True.
But other than that, you might think he's a wrestler,
You were saying, Brett, that you probably were biased for the 2 Lakers, but my top would be Jordan, Magic Johnson, LeBron, and I'm not really sure who my 4th one would be. But I'm looking at all the guys that have, like Johnson revolutionized the game when you see a 6'8" point guard.
Yeah.
That totally. And I guess you come back with Curry on that, how he's revolutionized the game by being a shooter, a 3-point shooter too at that, how the game's changed. But I'm not ready yet to put him there at that 4th.
And, we don't go far enough back either because, I didn't see Bill Russell. Very little of what's the one that scored? Chamberlain, Wilt Chamberlain. I saw very little of Wilt Chamberlain.
You mentioned early Jabbar. I mean, how do you?
And I saw this stat the other day where if you go by only numbers of all these great legends, that John Havlicek would be the greatest player of all time in the NBA if you went by the numbers. So, and Boston's had a lot like that, and I still like Kareem. I mean, Kareem he changed the game too, But
yeah, well, if you go just by numbers, you start talking about people like Russell Westbrook and James Harden. That's guys that score 30 and get triple doubles. And
you know what's strange though? We always talk about this in basketball. It's never a conversation in football. Who's the greatest player of all time? Very rarely is it, and very rarely is it in baseball that you discuss.
It's so hard. It's so much harder to say.
Yeah,
in football especially. I mean, the most impactful player of all time, or best resume of all time is Tom Brady.
Yeah,
but that don't mean he was better than Lawrence Taylor,
right,
or Jerry Rice.
Yeah, I mean,
he just stands out more because he's the quarterback.
In football, you almost have to go by positions. Basketball, everybody's basically doing the same thing. I mean, even though you got a position, everybody's out there playing defense, playing offense. In football, it's a little different.
In baseball, you have to break it down to best hitter or best pitcher.
Yeah. Who is the best pitcher of all time? If you go way back, it was
I guess way back,
Cy Young. I mean,
if you look on strictly the numbers, but
who's the greatest pitcher in your time?
And my vote's going to be for Sandy Koufax.
Yeah, Koufax would have to be,
but he didn't have as long a career as some of the others.
Nolan Ryan, I think, is our present day.
Yeah, he had the long career and was still really good even in his
one everybody looks up to
later years
or whatever.
I mean, Pedro Martinez was awesome. Randy Johnson.
Yeah.
Richard says, speaking of changing the game, they changed the lane width because of George Mikan. There's you another Laker.
Yep. Minnesota Laker.
Yeah, Minnesota Laker. Yeah. L.A. don't have too many lakes, do they? Like Minnesota, the land of 10,000
right.
lakes. Who's the best NFL player of all time, non-QB? Jerry Rice. Some would say Jerry Rice. Some would say Jim Brown.
I guess I'm biased. I'm saying Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor
because of
really good
on the defensive side of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because now today it still relates back to
Lawrence Taylor was awesome.
You know how everybody wants the next Lawrence Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
But I might be a little biased because he's Carolina. You know.
I have a favorite, and he's not really in the conversation of best all time. But Ed Reed was a guy that I loved
To watch
watching.
play. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think he was the best safety of my lifetime.
Yeah. Well, it'd be hard to argue.
And the guy you played with
the
Ray
numbers
Lewis,
he put
was
up.
one of the best middle linebackers of all time.
I just like to hang out with them for a while while they weren't playing. You know, it may not have lived through it, but
Then again, what you just said.
they just had a good time.
Then again, what you said just a few minutes ago in different time period. You know, you said Jim Brown, and it's kind of hard not to. What he did in such a short time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't
remember watching him play live.
I don't either. But you know, no longer than he played, he gave up some good years to not even playing with contract disputes. I guess is part of it.
Richard says also many rules changed because of Wilt in the NBA. Wilt still stands alone, don't he, with the only one scored 100 points.
100 points.
100 points, and I was going to say 100 women, but that's way too low
Too
from
low.
what from
According
reports.
to him, wouldn't it?
From reports. Nolan Ryan and Greg Maddox. That comes from Ned. Nolan Ryan and Greg Maddox. They were two totally different pitchers. I'll tell you that right now. One got you with finesse and one got you with power. But that's funny that game can be done that way. You know, that you don't have to throw it 100 miles an hour to be effective. And the great Greg Maddox is just one of the examples that prove that. Let's take a time out. Do you have lyrics? You want me to do mine?
Do yours.
Let's see.
I think I got it.
What I want to do here in just a few minutes is get into high school basketball playoffs from this week. A big week. Did you watch Cherokee girls play yesterday on TV?
Not. I seen your text.
I watched that.
I didn't realize they were playing. I knew that it was but I didn't think about it being yesterday.
Won their
that
second
showed
straight.
it.
Won their second straight. You know, it's weird the way they do the playoffs now. You know, it used to be you played the regionals on a Saturday, and then you went back the next Saturday and played. I like it the way they do it now. It starts on Monday. The only bad drawback is you play on Saturday or Friday, and then you might play again Monday. And I don't know if they give you a day you can practice or not unless you go in and practice on Saturday. I don't know if they're lenient there to those teams and let them practice on Sunday or not, but they should. But anyway, you know, you had regional championships. Brett went a couple days. You had regional championships all through the week, and then on Friday, yesterday, you had 4 state champions crowned. You'll have 4 more today, and we'll get into that when we come back. But my lyrics this morning, we rented a truck and a semi to go. Back in a moment.
First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Getting the kids to practice on time. Remembering if it's your day to bring snacks. Making it to the game with a clean jersey. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like whether your kid is going to run toward first or third base. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit MooneyInsurance.com.
Make 2025 the year you move into your new home from Key Builders of Lincoln. Let Key Builders help you make your dream home a reality and do it this year. Visit them online at keybuildersnc.com and check out their photo galleries. They are a licensed general contractor with over 20 years of building history and experience. Make 2025 the year of your new home. See your dream come true at Key Builders, 1459 North Aspen Street in Lincoln. Like them on Facebook too.
For where 2 or 3 have gathered together in my name, I am there in their midst. Matthew 18:20. You are invited to gather with us at Rhine Heights United Methodist Church, located at 520 Madison Street, just up from Betty Ross Park. Sunday school meets at 10 and worship follows at 11 every Sunday. Follow us on Facebook for special service announcements. Join us Sunday at Rhine Heights United Methodist Church.
Buying a Bobcat is now easier than ever at West End Sales in Vail. Now get 0% APR financing. That means low monthly payments. Or you can get $1,200 instant rebates on selected models. Now is the time to buy. Like we said, it's easier than ever. Again, get 0% APR financing or get $1,200 instant rebate on selected Bobcat models at West End Sales at the Highway 1827 West intersection in Vail. Online at westendsales.com and like them on Facebook too.
Well, welcome back. We do have a correct answer here on the lyrics, my lyrics this morning. Brett and Lenny, did y'all have a guess?
No.
At those lyrics? Before I will say Butch Parker, right on the money. And we'll give him one more time here. See if anybody else wants to give it a shot. Give Lenny and Brett another chance. It's a well-known group that you know well. I wouldn't say the superstar type group, but, you know, probably the next category. We rented a truck and a semi to go, traveled down the long and the winding road. This next part might give it away. Look on the map. I think we've been there before. Close up the doors. Let's roll once more. You guys got that? Anything on that?
Nope.
Well, Butch, you are the man. I'm gonna give it just a couple minutes, and we'll come back to it because since I read some more lyrics, maybe somebody else is able to get that. Classic 70s rock, and probably still playing today. I give Brett a pretty good hint here. I don't know if Lenny would know this hint or not if I said it, but one of them had a son that was a solo artist for a while. Hadn't heard much out of him lately, but one of them had a son that became a solo artist and played.
Yeah, I think I got it now.
I helped you. Let's see.
Was the son's name Tal?
It was. And not like something you draw off with.
Yeah.
Tal. Yes, it was.
Canadian, right?
Yeah, and that's funny you said that because guess what? Ned says I cheated, but a hint is it's Canadian, and yes, that is correct. They are that. They have a 3-word name, but best known by initials. That's easy now, isn't it? Yeah. We'll see if we get some more. Way to go! But I'm gonna go ahead and give Butch the credit here that he deserves. BTO, Bachman Turner Overdrive, Roll On Down the Highway. That's a good one. Heard that this morning, and so that while I was up moving around getting ready. Let's talk high school basketball from yesterday. Brett, have you got the? I'm putting you on the spot here because I don't have them. Do you have the scores pulled up from yesterday?
I don't. Let me figure out the quickest way to get them.
Yep, there were 2 girls champions crowned yesterday and 2 boys champions crown yesterday, and you'll get the exact same thing again today. While Brett's looking at that, let me go ahead and say this. Okay, hats off to North Lincoln girls for the run they made in the state playoffs. Were beaten in the regional semis. Hats off to the Bandy's Trojans, who made a remarkable run, getting all the way to the regional finals and losing to that powerhouse that we know it of Reidsville. And East Burke girls,
no comment.
Last year they made it to the state finals. This year they came up one short, and Brett was watching that game. Who was the team that beat them, Brett?
North Wilkes.
North Wilkes, the number 1 seed.
Those girls are good, aren't they?
And
good and tall.
Those sisters.
Yeah.
He said they had a 3-2 zone, and they were just not letting
Stillwell. They played a 3-2
It also
and kept it tight at the top.
Yeah.
And the 3 girls at the top of that 3-2, one of them was 5'10", and one of them was 6'2". They put their big girl at the top of the 3-2, and East Burke just could not drive the ball to the basket like they normally do.
Well,
they settled for a lot of threes, and they shot. I mean, they just had a horrible
Stillwell
shooting
was
night.
held to 10 points. She also fouled out in the fourth quarter. I don't know how much
Yeah,
time was
early,
left,
but
early.
it was over. But yeah.
I know last year when we played North Wilkes first game, and I couldn't see the big girl play, but you could just look at her and tell.
Yeah,
she was an athlete.
Yeah,
I mean,
and she's a sophomore.
She is on crutches
right
you
now.
know. And the coach even told her, he said best player I got potentially on teams over underneath the basket on crutches. He said, I'm talking about potentially the best as I've ever had in the program.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
Wow, I could see it. Now, and her sister is the point guard, and she is really good
She's
too.
Good too.
They are.
What year is she?
She's a senior.
Okay.
She's a senior.
And I think,
but they've got about 7 girls that are all
huge,
really good. Yeah, and they're a big team.
Oh.
They were bigger than East Burke at every position.
Yeah. I don't know if our buddy Brian Hanks is listening this morning, but he probably celebrated that state championship for.
Well, they haven't won the state yet.
Well,
they haven't won the state yet.
Well, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and write them in. Who they play?
Southeast Alamance.
It's not that easy. Okay, that Western Regional
a
Championship.
Second-year school
really
is in the state championship.
Oh my goodness! And didn't we have 2 playing each other that weren't very old schools?
Them and Seaforth.
Oh, that's who it was?
Seaforth's like in their 5th year.
Okay.
And they're from the same conference. As their 4th meeting the other night. And, yeah, Southeast Alamance, their 2nd year as a school, and they're in the state title game.
State title game.
Did I leave out any of those teams? Like I said, Bandy's, East Burke, and North Lincoln girls. Did I leave out anybody around here close that had a really nice run like that in the playoffs?
Stuart Kramer.
Stuart
got beat yesterday in the title game.
Yep. I was very surprised at the margin that they beat the North Lincoln girls by.
Yeah.
Wasn't it 20-some?
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
But then they turned around and got beat by 20-some themselves, didn't
18.
they? 18?
Yeah, that kind of surprised me after that.
That's
Yeah, did you see the Holland girl had 49 of their 58 points yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Shauna Holland.
49 out of 58?
49 out of the 58.
I know me and Rick Mitchum, when they played at West Lincoln 2 years ago, and I walked out, and she was the MVP as a freshman at the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a statement. I said, we're probably looking at a kid. The only thing is their size. But I said, this is probably a WNBA kid down the road. That was the exact words. I said, but
strong words.
But 5'8" size, that might be a negative aspect. But, I mean, she was – and I know she's improved a great deal since. That was 2 years ago.
She shot 15 for 29, made all 17 of her free throws yesterday. 49 points, 7 rebounds. She's really good. And on
So how many of those were threes?
Only 2 threes.
Just 2?
Yeah.
She's a slicer.
I'm trying to do
she's
the
a
math
driver and puts
and
it
I
on the
lost my
floor.
train of thought.
Well, best I can remember, she gets to the basket.
And on Monday against North Lincoln, she got a lot of help from the shooters around her. They hit a lot of threes. Yesterday, the rest of the team did not shoot well at all.
Yeah.
3 for 18, the rest of the team was.
Yeah, they had the little Womack girl. I remember her too. She's a senior.
Yeah, she hit a bunch of threes against North Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yesterday she had 2 points.
I taught her dad in class at East Gaston. But
Give us the rest of the scores from those state championship games.
So yesterday in girls, we were just talking about Western Alamance 76, Stuart Kramer 58, and Cherokee beat East Bladen 84-48. That was a 4-point game at the half, and Cherokee just dominated the second half.
Watch that on TV. Watch that on TV.
They had something like 30 offensive rebounds.
They had 90-some
shot attempts. 97 shot attempts
in that game.
Because of the number of offensive rebounds and
the
forced turnovers. Yeah.
The hustle of that team.
East Bladen turned it over 36 times.
36 turnovers.
And that's from Cherokee's pressure.
Yeah.
I think Cherokee could beat anybody in any class.
Right.
I'm not saying they could go in the 4A bracket and win it because you have to beat 6 of them in a row. But I think they could beat anybody.
They could beat some teams, yeah.
Yeah, that was it's fun to watch unless you were from the other side.
Now the Cherokee Bishop McGinnis game in the Western Final, that game was awesome. Bishop McGinnis is really good too, and that was a tight game.
And they've eliminated Cherokee before in the past.
Yeah. Also yesterday, Corvian beat Southern Wake Academy 58-55 on a 3 at the buzzer.
Yeah, in overtime.
Yeah.
In overtime. Watch that one too. That's the only 2 games I know for sure that were on WCCB. They might have had more, but I did watch.
I know the end
of the.
I don't think the 3A boys was on last night, but I got it on NFHS Network. Ben Smith beat Southern Durham in overtime, 64-62.
Yeah.
And that's who beat Hunter Huss, correct?
Yeah.
Smith
also beat Crest.
Yeah. On
a fluky last couple minutes.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. The ball it looked like it hit a brace, and it come back and went down through the hoop.
That's right.
And that's after they got it to overtime on a technical foul with the 2.5 left.
That's right.
Oh man,
Crest has got to be sick because that team went on and won the state.
Sprung off the bench, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yep.
And those 2 teams, Ben Smith and Southern Durham, they just looked like mirror images of each other. So they were long, a lot of like 6'5" to 6'9" guys, real, just long and athletic, thin builds, and it came down to went to overtime and a 2-point game, and those 2 teams, they could probably play for a week straight, and it would be that tight when it was over. And I think Southern Durham's leading scorer was a freshman last night.
Really? The future bodes well.
And that school is called Southern School of Energy and Sustainability now.
That's Southern
But
Durham.
it's Southern Durham.
It's Southern Durham. Okay,
it's still just a public school in Durham.
Yeah, it's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
The worst thing about all this is, it looks good for the future, but who knows what the future holds, because it's gotten to be a lot like college basketball, and people don't always stay where they are.
And I think from what I read,
career.
Durham Public Schools is kind of like Charlotte, where you can go
anywhere
in that school system,
that district,
and without any being penalized.
Anywhere in the state.
Yeah.
That's basically what that comes down to.
Yeah, it sounds like Southern Durham basically changed to like a Highland Tech type school where they have, specialty type things. And it's right there in the Durham city limits, and they, they have kids moved from across the city.
And you were saying it sounds like they can move around, but if they can't, it's probably a good thing for them, Southern Durham, because you probably can move across to there.
Yeah.
If you can't go to others, it's because of the tech school that it is.
Yeah.
Was it Southern Durham that has played Crest twice?
I think they played them
football?
back-to-back years and split with them.
So that's where Adam teaches.
He did it one time.
Yeah.
I don't know what he does now, but he did it one time.
Yeah, he did. Is that all the scores? Do we get them all in?
Yeah, those were the four
and
title games.
Today's matchups are. You have to switch pages there, won't you?
Yeah, in boys,
Reedsville.
Today
they're playing.
Yeah, they're the last game of the weekend. Reedsville and Northwood tonight at 7:30.
We don't know anything about Northwood, do we?
I saw them play the other day.
Yeah. Can they play with Reedsville?
Who are they out of?
I remember they eliminated Lincoln
Pittsburgh,
or Lincoln.
and that still don't really tell me anything.
That's the school. When you said Northwood, that's the Drake Powell's.
That's Drake Powell's yep.
school.
Yeah,
and it's a relatively new school too, I think.
And they made a deep run last year,
Pittsburgh,
and Farmville Central knocked them out.
That makes me think it's in Pitt County, Pittsburgh, which is.
I don't know if it is or not.
I don't know either. I don't know either.
Pitt County would be that's Greenville, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
yeah.
So this
I don't think Pittsburgh is in Pitt County.
Pittsburgh's just south of Chapel Hill, about 20 miles.
That's not where the Steelers and Pirates play.
But yeah, Northwood. Everything I was hearing down there on Thursday was West Bladen was the team to beat, and they were looking ahead to Reidsville and Northwood just
hammered.
They blew them out.
Yeah,
it was tight for a little bit, but
I got a feeling they might be able to play with Reidsville.
When you said that, I thought was that the team that was Pittsburgh? When you said Pittsburgh, I thought, that's Drake Powell's.
Yep, it is.
And that Seaforth, the big kid at Alabama. Jalen Stevenson played at Seaforth, but he left a year early. He reclassified. This is his second year at Alabama.
Northwood is 30-2. They don't have anybody built, and nobody does, like Kendra Harrison, but they've got some length. They got a couple of 6'8", 6'9" guys that are good.
And let's throw it out there. Reidsville is undefeated.
Yep, 30-0.
Yep. And won it last year in overtime over Farmville Central.
Yeah.
Did they win the previous year?
No, they lost to Farmville Central the year before.
That's right. That's right.
And their last loss came last year in the Christmas tournament to Farmville Central. They've won.
They've been a thorn, but
they've won 50-some in a row,
year.
or maybe 60 now. Games in a row.
Okay. And they got these guys back next year if they stick around.
Speculation is that Harrison couldn't move on and enroll somewhere early if it's Oregon or if it's not Oregon.
Like right after football season.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a basketball player too. I don't think he will. I think they stay together.
He's going to Chapel Hill. I'll go ahead and tell you.
The other boys' game today is North Meck and New Hanover at 2:30, and that's a rematch from last year's state title game, which North Meck won.
Yes, we saw that one last year. And the Duke guy played a major role.
Isaiah Evans, he was North Meck's best player last year. This year it's Chadlin Traylor, who's I think he's signed with College of Charleston. He's a point guard at North Meck.
Okay.
I watched both of these teams play on Wednesday. I think this could be the game
of the week,
of the weekend, or of today. They were great games yesterday, but these two teams are just so talented. All over. I mean, they got
North Meck's got a long history.
Yeah,
being good in basketball.
I mean,
and New Hanover's won 14 state titles.
Yeah,
so I mean,
they're just pretty good.
Two of the most storied 4A basketball programs.
And you said that's the most in state history.
Yeah,
New Hanover. Do we know anybody that came out of New Hanover that made it?
You said last week you looked it up. Kenny Gaddison.
Yeah,
came out.
Yeah, there weren't really big names.
Right.
Trot Nixon.
Trot Nixon. Yeah.
But not
the
big
time basketball, didn't he? He's known for his baseball, obviously,
Yeah.
but I think he played basketball.
Not the big time NBA players that
he was more.
You would think from them winning 14 titles.
He was quarterback.
Because he was going state on scholarship, but then the Red Sox drafted him so high that.
And I'm guessing his boys played at New Hanover. Because they did play for Wilmington in Legion ball.
Yeah.
And in the girls' games today at noon, Lake Norman and Wakefield in the 4A girls.
Mm-hmm.
And then North Wilkes and Southeast Alamance at 5 o'clock in the 2A girls title.
And has Lake Norman lost at all this year? Or,
they lost one.
I thought.
And I think it might have been an out-of-state opponent.
Because that's who beat North Lincoln, correct? Am I making that up?
That is who beat. Yeah,
first
they did beat.
That was their
North
one loss,
and it was by a lot.
2 losses. Yeah,
it was by a lot. But then they went on that long.
Yeah,
run.
their loss was to a Christian school from Georgia.
Okay.
Lake Norman 29-1.
And then they beat they beat an undefeated McDowell, correct?
Yeah, they did. That was a tight game.
I want to throw a couple things in there. This is one thing that happens to me every Saturday. I get a lot of texts, a lot of messages rolling in, and I missed one last week. It was from Denny Hoover, and they was talking about the game that was going to be played at Cherryville last week between Caldwell and was it CVCC that was playing them? And Denny had said that Will Blackburn, a pitcher for Caldwell Community, and Lane Hoover, a coach for Caldwell. So that was a good reunion thing there. Let's see what else I got here. Scott says I could see Cherokee girls should also win cross country championship by the way they run. I don't know if they can sprint.
Well, I told you yesterday that the girl, the point guard, has won a cross country state title.
Okay,
and she also won an 800-meter state title. So yesterday was her 4th state title with 2 basketball ones now.
She can sprint and distance, endurance.
And Monty has a good question, and one I don't think we'll be able to answer, but Monty's question is, will any of the high school championships be broadcast live today? Yesterday I only noticed 2, and I looked every time. I only noticed 2, and that was the Cherokee girls game, and what was the other one, Brett, that was on WCCB?
The 1A boys, Corvian and
no more can I tell you it's on channel so-and-so because everybody has a different brand of TV, but it was on WCCB.
Yeah, it's called WCCB or the CW.
And I wonder why they just had 2. That's what puzzled me. Why did they only have 2 games on back-to-back?
What time were those yesterday, David?
They had the early ones on.
Early?
The ones at night they did. Maybe they had CW had certain shows they had to show.
They may be.
Maybe at night. I don't know.
I would say check that today. Check WCCB.
I would say they'd have some on today.
Brett and I, we subscribe to NFHS. Ain't that what it's under, Brett?
Yeah.
NFHS, and you can, I'll go ahead and tell you it's about $75 a year, but you can watch anything. You can watch just about anything, and it's pretty good coverage, isn't it, Brett?
Yeah.
If you're a high school sports fan, I'd say the 75. You might not want to do it and invest this year because you only got those couple games to watch. But in the future, it comes out pretty good. Brett will be at a high school football game and watching somebody else on his phone.
Yeah, in the playoffs especially.
Yeah, especially in the playoffs is exactly right. But that's about the only way we can answer that, Monty. Just check it. It's WCCB. That's who had them yesterday. But like I said, only 2 of the 4. Only 2 of the 4 games yesterday.
If you got DirecTV, it would be 18.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you've got
YouTube,
Dish Network, or
some
YouTube
of them, like YouTube
them.
TV doesn't have channel numbers.
Yeah.
So you just have to you have to find that logo. And even if it doesn't say it's on, just click on it anyway because it might be on even if it doesn't say it on the guide.
Well, even if you look on DirecTV, it might not say it today.
Yeah.
On that channel, you just have to check. Go flip there anyway.
And here you go, Monty. Scott makes a good point. I bet the North Met game will be.
I would think
TV, so. He's probably right there. North Met being in Charlotte, but now, didn't somebody play from Charlotte area last night and they didn't have it on? Who was the?
Well, Stuart Kramer's girls.
Yeah, that's Charlotte. I mean, that's about as close to Charlotte as it is Gastonia. It's not that much further, but.
And that when they played, I wasn't home, so I didn't even get to check. But you said it wasn't on yours, so.
And he says, "What time are the games? What time do they start up?"
12,
and they put 2.5 hours between each one.
Yeah, 12,
right?
2:30, 5, and 7:30.
There you go.
Times.
There you go, Monty. All right, time for us to take our last time out. Lenny is going to deliver the lyrics. I don't know if he's going to say them or sing them.
Let me put my glasses on here. Here's the 2 lines. Got a good reason for taking the easy way out.
That's good enough. We will come back here in just a moment.
The Get Out and Ride sales event is underway at Full Throttle Power Sports in Lowell. Get up to $3,000 off select models of Yamaha side-by-sides. But that's not all. See the Suzuki King Quad with 0% financing for up to 36 months or $2,000 in customer cash back. And see the legendary Kawasaki Ninja bikes. And see the new Ninja Razor Pro lineup. All at Full Throttle Power Sports, 100 Indian Walk in Lowell. Online at ncfullthrottle.com.
Rhodes and Bill Oil Company in Lincoln has been serving the Piedmont of North and South Carolina since 1919. Sure, they deliver to your home with home heating oils. They'll help keep you warm, but they do a whole lot more. They feature bulk fuel delivery, on-site and commercial fueling, backup generator fueling, and farm and agricultural fueling. For home or business or farms, call on Rhodes and Bill Oil Company in Lincoln, 704-735-2508. Online at rhodesandbill.com, located at 1404 East Main Street in Lincoln. Like them on Facebook too.
Buying a Bobcat is now easier than ever at West End Sales in Vale. Now get 0% APR financing. That means low monthly payments. Or you can get $1,200 instant rebates on selected models. Now is the time to buy. Like we said, it's easier than ever. Again, get 0% APR financing or get $1,200 instant rebate on selected Bobcat models at West End Sales at the Highway 1827 West intersection in Vale. Online at westendsales.com and like them on Facebook too.
This is Creighton Kell with Kell Insurance. We have been helping people for over 25 years with all their Medicare needs. We represent the same national and local companies as the insurance agencies you see on TV. And you know what? We can sit down with you one-on-one and help you find the right plan just for you.
Kell Insurance is located beside the Cultural Center and behind Gillum Realty in downtown Lincoln. 107 North Cedar Street. Call 704-732-4646 and follow them on Facebook. Kell Insurance.
Look who just flew into town. Wild Birds Unlimited has expanded their nature shop, the latest in beautiful Denver, North Carolina. You'll want to take the short drive from Lincoln for all your seeds and feeders, hobby guides, gift cards, and more. Philip and Renee look forward to seeing you soon, and tell them that WLON sent you. Wild Birds Unlimited, now serving Lincoln and Catawba counties. Wild Birds Unlimited.
At Scooters Coffee, we like to think of ourselves as daymakers. A quick stop at Scooters can mean a fresh start to the morning, a midday break, or an afternoon reward to a long, busy day. Scooters Coffee has hot drinks, cold drinks, protein shakes, smoothies, and don't forget their great selection of food items. And Scooters reminds you to have an amazing day with a sticker on every item. Stop by 689 North Highway 16, Denver today. Scooters Coffee, serving smiles every day.
All right, get down to business here. I don't see that I have any guesses. Lenny's going to give us the lyrics one more time. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Ned's got them.
You want me to read it again?
Yes.
Got a good reason for taking the easy way out.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and say Brett, David, Ned, Lanny.
Everybody got it here right off the bat.
Yep. Great song, Day Tripper by the Beatles. Day Tripper by the Beatles. Brett said he made 2 day trips this week down to the Winston-Salem area. How long do you think that might last, Brett? That next year they're going to have to use 2 venues.
Yep.
If they do it the exact same way, they're still going to have to use 2 venues next year because the games are going to double. Whenever we go to 8 classes. And hopefully they just use Wake Forest and maybe the Greensboro Coliseum.
That would be great. I just hope it doesn't go back to Chapel Hill and Raleigh, especially for regionals. I really hope the regionals don't move that far.
Yeah.
Wake Forest has a great
where they're at now.
Arena.
It seems more centrally located too.
And I'm not sure if it's next year or not, but Greensboro may not be available next year because ACC tournament. But I'm not sure. For some reason, I'm thinking it might be in Charlotte again next year and then it goes. But it's in a Greensboro.
Why didn't we go?
It's a Greensboro Charlotte thing for the.
And there's also the.
Why didn't we go to the ACC tournament? How much is a whole book now to go to the ACC tournament? 500.
A friend of mine said 800, but I don't know that.
I just don't have much interest in going to that.
Yeah,
I would like to see Duke play.
Brett and I have been.
I don't care anything about seeing the other teams.
Just go buy tickets on the day.
I'm gonna tell you a story. I went
less.
I went on Wednesday. Had maybe the best seats I've ever had
this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I paid $70. We looked at. We looked at the same seat for the next day. It wasn't available. We looked online. It was available. It jumped to $1,000 and something dollars.
So you paid $70
and I paid $70.
How many games did you watch?
Afternoon session.
Okay, so
I saw Virginia and Georgia Tech and Carolina and Notre Dame.
Okay, and so $70 for 2 tournament games. That's not bad.
And we had to buy 3 for $210. Well, guys, we said, me and my friend went, and we said we can find somebody or we'll sell it. You know. But if we found another guy, but this is we got to looking around after we went and ate. Right before the night session started, and we went up to the ticket booth, to the box office, and said, "What do you have downstairs?" Because I'm spoiled. When I go, if I'm not downstairs, I just assume stay at home.
Yeah, that's how I am.
And this blew my mind, and it ought to be a crime. The box office said, "Well, we start at 600 to 1,000 in the lower arena."
And to come down from there,
and that was just for Thursday. That wasn't a book, and
that's what I was gonna say. I just want tickets for this session.
Yeah, and I was sitting there talking to my buddy. I said, "Them policemen over there leaning on that car, they ought to come over here and arrest these people." I said that's they pick up scalpers, and I said that ought to be against the law.
And that was for who was playing, Stanford and Cal or.
Yeah, well, it was going to be for the next day. So the 4 with the double buys were going to play.
Oh, okay.
But still,
yeah, no, that's still ridiculous.
600 to 1,000.
Brett and I,
imagine what it must have been last night.
Oh,
that was, when you got Duke and Carolina, you got Louisville and Clemson playing.
Brett and I have made trips with Steve K and Mike Powell and people like that. One time we got in, we just go championship. If Duke make the championship, we'd try to get in. We got in one time for 20. We got in one time for 30. Brett and I had kind of poor seats, wasn't it, Duke and Georgia Tech in the finals?
Yeah, we were behind the basket.
But by the time we moved and by the time about the first quarter of the game was over, we were in good seats.
I know my friend called me Sunday afternoon, and we weren't planning on going. I thought, no, I'm just going to stay home. It'll be too high anyway. And he called. He said, I went ahead and bought these. He said, if you can't go, I'll sell them. He said, I found it. He said you had to buy 1 or 3. And I guess they like them 2. They don't want to split up 2 seats.
Yep.
And so he said, he said, so I just went ahead and bought 3. He said, I felt like you would go.
It's weird. You'd think it'd be 2 or 4.
Yeah. And
not 1 or 3.
Yeah, and so anyway, he said I bought them, but I believe it's the best seats I ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, we were right, and we were getting the same angle that you were seeing on TV like you could look across the floor at the benches, and the camera well was just right. In fact, I could lean against the back of the camera well where they were shooting right at midcourt. I mean, it just blew my mind.
Brett, who were the Duke players when we saw Duke and NC State? One year we went and saw it was Duke and State in the finals, and we sat about 3 rows behind State's bench.
Yeah,
is where we were. Do you remember who? I can't remember what year that was or who some of the players were.
I think Reddick might have been there.
Okay, that's been a while then. If it was him, and I think that's one that
I remember. It's when Maryland was one of the big programs in the.
Is that when Gene said his famous line?
but we knew we had good seats when we got there. But when we got there, they moved a little turnstile. They unclipped it and said, and it looked like where it ought to have been handicapped. It was right on the deck. It looked like it ought to be handicapped, rolled in for handicap. But they had they were individual chairs sitting there like the players would be sitting on the bench.
Too.
And when these guys pointed right here, we thought, nah, this ain't.
You can guess.
This isn't ours.
The year I'm talking about. You can guess the one I'm talking about when we went down there, because we saw Duke play Maryland, and they had one Dixon, and I can't remember who else. That's when we talked to Vitale a little bit when he came out the back door after everything was over. But we the reason I remember this is because when it was over, Duke had beat Maryland that day, and that was that the championship or a semi? It was a championship.
Yeah, it was a championship.
That was the championship of the ACC tournament. And Gene, you know how he was.
Yeah.
Gene had his head out the window yelling, "Where's that turtle? Where's that turtle?" Well, 3 weeks later, they were national champs.
Yeah.
So that was, what year did Maryland win the national title?
He was in Dallas. I don't know if it was Dallas or not, but that turtle was in Dallas when he.
And we also saw him in 2010. They beat Georgia Tech in the title. And Duke went on to win the national championship, and that's when Shire was playing. We actually saw Shire's parents out in the parking lot when we were looking for tickets.
I remember that.
And now you see them, on TV at every game.
Yeah.
I don't usually say this about the teams I pull for or anything. They could not have replaced Krzyzewski with a better one.
I agree.
They couldn't have.
Yeah.
They made the right choice, and it's worked. It may fall apart, who knows, but right now it looks like they made the perfect choice for that job. I was thinking about that yesterday, that, this just he's intelligent, he's fiery, he gets his point across, and the players, it just look like they respond to him, I mean, that they,
And he definitely, the recruiting hadn't dropped off.
No,
it's picked up, it seems like. I mean, it's all 5 stars. Kind of scary.
You just got to face it that Duke's going to be, until things change, they're going to be a one and done kind of place.
Well, so this has been their best mix of great freshmen and really good
mixed in
transfer portal players.
And that's what you got to do.
And I think you got to have that. You got to have some experience
in
there.
I'm very impressed with the guy that came from, is it Tulane?
Yeah, Sion James.
Yeah.
He's been great.
He's not a great scorer or anything like that, but he does everything well.
Yeah.
He does everything well. Let's see.
And he's just built like you don't see college basketball players built like him.
Like him.
Yeah. Not at Duke you don't anyway, but yeah.
But Mason Gillis has been good. He's solid. He came from Purdue, and he's stocky too.
Yeah.
You can tell he's 23 or 24. Yeah. He's got a different kind of body.
Let me read a couple of these things here real quick. Great turnout by the fans. It's coming from Ned for the junior college game at Freddie Field last Saturday. 4 post 100 alumnus playing in the game, plus several other Legion team alums were on the rosters. Ned also puts in there the Beatles, Day Tripper, so he got it as well. He says Winston-Salem, much easier traffic, and their big mall has a real Belk store. It's huge Belks. Like the old days. I think, Brett, you went into that.
I did.
In
Thursday morning, I went to Haynes Mall for a while.
Scott says, I just checked my TV guide. It comes on at 12 o'clock, and that's the basketball championship. So there you go, Monty. Scott says we're coming on WCCB today at 12 noon, so you'll be able to check out those games. Anything else on basketball, college or high school? From either one of you guys?
Well, I was just going to say, when you were talking about tickets, if you had been in Charlotte last night as the Carolina and Clemson fans were leaving, that would have been a great time to buy tickets.
Right. Anytime.
Because I bet Carolina and Clemson had a ton of fans there last night, and when they lost, some of them aren't going to go back.
Yep,
that's
the best time to buy tickets. Is whenever the games end.
Yeah,
and because somebody's going to lose. So whenever the games end, if you can snatch them up, then is the best time to get them. And sometimes they just hand them to you.
Of course, now you don't even hand it. It's all done electronic.
Yeah.
That's out of my mode now. I love to go with and the guy I went with, man, we worked the crowd with when you had something you could hold hand.
Yeah. Let me tell you a story real quick on why I like the electronic better than the tickets. Back when Rick and I and a couple others were going to the Mike Powell maybe and Sumo, whoever the four was this week that goes to App. We used to go to all the football games App. Just every time we got a chance, we'd go watch App play their home football games. Well, I happened to leave the tickets at home one time, but I called Brett on the phone and said, go out in the garage and see if those tickets are so-and-so, wherever they were. And they were there. And guess what? He sent me a picture of those tickets, and it worked.
Scan them.
They were able to scan them. So, I did go one time, and I told the guys, I said, man, I wish I'd have brought the TV with us. And they said, why? I said, because the tickets were laying on it. So, but we got in that time. It worked. It worked.
Well, you said one thing I did want to mention: the death of John Feinstein.
Yeah,
man, the writer,
69 years old.
Season on the brink.
I mean, that seems young, don't it?
Yeah, it does. And I was curious what had happened, but they said natural cause. He must have had a heart attack.
He had a lot of sports books.
And I heard
Mike Powell sent me a few.
And I heard last night said he actually had wrote 48 books.
48.
But not all of them were sports related.
He was. I didn't even. It never even crossed my mind, Lenny. But when I heard that he had died, it crossed my mind that I hadn't seen him on TV in a while. You know, and I don't know.
Well, I don't think
say what the
I didn't
reason
hear
was?
anything about. Well, it just said natural cause. His brother found him
really
in bed. So I assume it had.
But
to
it
been
makes
a heart
me
attack.
wonder if his health had been a little bit worse and he wasn't able to do it because he was on your talk shows a lot.
A whole bunch. And they said that he was currently was writing a book at that time on Longwood University, which is in Virginia. Yeah. I don't know exactly where, but
a Duke graduate, right?
Duke graduate, correct.
Duke, and then,
somebody said he was.
But he's from New York.
He was a very opinionated. You either liked him or you didn't. But I liked him. He was.
Yeah. Well, they didn't like him because he was probably telling the truth.
Right. But said most coaches, as a general rule, liked him because when he wrote, he didn't ambush them.
Yeah.
When he wrote something, it was because it come right directly from the source, from them. And that they were open for it. And then I also heard this. You remember Big Oliver Miller that played at Arkansas?
Oh, that name sounds
big.
awful
He's
familiar.
big guy. Played on the '94 championship. I
Okay.
think I seen he had passed
That's
away
a thorn
too.
in our side, Lenny, that '94 championship.
Yeah, Scotty Thurman. That's one I remember.
He called him Big O.
And that was in Charlotte.
Yeah,
as a matter of
correct.
fact. But I probably remember that guy.
Well, he said
if I see
54,
him.
and that would probably be about right if it's 90 in the 90 or 94.
Yeah,
that'd be 30 years, and he's probably
I think Ned is going back to who were we just talking about that passed away?
John Feinstein.
He also did color commentary for Navy football.
Yeah, wrote a big book about
many seasons.
Wrote a book called Civil Wars about the Army-Navy rivalry.
Yeah, I knew he did that book. Said he heard on sports radio he was working on the 50th book, on his 50th book.
I think it was he was writing a book about Longwood University. Now, what it was about, I have no idea. But
yeah, Longwood, I don't know why, but I've heard of them forever. I mean, it's been around. It seems like that school's been around a long time, and I've heard of people. I can't name them right off the top of my head, but people going there to play and stuff like that.
Pretty good baseball program too. Either Verlander or what's the one just went in the Hall of Fame? One of them played there. The little relief pitcher played for Houston. I can't remember which one, but one of them came from Longwood, but I'm not sure which one. I think it was Longwood.
What state's it in?
Virginia.
Virginia.
It's in Virginia.
Yeah, I should have known that as much.
Yeah, it says he died in Virginia, so maybe he lived near that university, and that was his tie to.
Yeah, I wonder if that's upstate.
And I didn't realize he still was a writer for the Washington Post. I thought he had pretty much freelanced out from that, but the way it talked, he still wrote a column for them. I don't know if it's daily, but.
Scott said a female player from Lincoln went to Longwood and played basketball. That must be our trivia question because I can't. He don't know and I don't either.
Well, it is trivia.
It is very. If he don't know the answer to that, because I don't. That's what I said. I've known of players around here going there, but I'm not exactly sure who that one might have been. Give us the answer to that, Scott, or somebody. Maybe somebody else out there can answer that. Lincoln female basketball player that went there and
it looks like it's right in the middle of the state, Longwood.
Okay. Isn't that a TV show of some kind, or is that Longmire?
That was a show.
Let's see. I was just looking here on these headlines real quick. Lenny, I want you to give me your thoughts on this because we really didn't discuss this. UNC refuses to blame lane violation for the costly loss.
I just guess they're saying that they weren't blaming Withers
That
for
guy,
stepping
yeah.
in the lane.
Yeah.
I think,
And
I don't blame.
you can't.
Yeah,
You can't blame a
I just
teammate.
made the statement last night.
He just got off balance.
I said I hope that they make it for his sake. That this isn't.
Yeah,
You know what?
right.
How it ends for him, but I mean, there were too many other plays that had to be made. That
They
he
don't
made
know.
it.
They don't know they would have won.
He made it, and it would have
But they
been
would have had a
tied. But
better
there's still
chance.
4 seconds. There's still time to get a
Yeah.
shot off. It maybe didn't even go overtime. But that's the thing. I hope it don't.
Well, and if the guy misses that free throw, your best shot is going to be getting the rebound.
Getting a rebound.
And I hadn't heard this one, guys. UNC Creighton ends in scuffle over fancy dunk.
It did. I seen that.
Not UNC. Who was it?
It was
What did I
Creighton
say?
and
Did I s-
UConn.
UConn.
Did I say UNC?
Yeah.
I meant UConn. Sorry.
They got a late steal. They already
UConn.
had the game won, and they got a steal, and the guy went down and dunked it. Probably he shouldn't have. And when as soon as he come off after dunking it, a Connecticut player come and pushed him, but that was about the end. They got it stopped before it got out of hand. The only thing was I heard him say that some guy did come off.
Who won the
Somebody's bench. Creighton won.
Creighton won?
Won. Somebody did come off the bench. I think it was the Connecticut bench. He was the only one that was ejected, not the players. So I assume that guy will not be allowed to play the first round of the NCAA tournament. But I don't
Probably
know.
so.
I don't know what kind of player. If he's a bench warmer or he's a factor for them.
I'm gonna ask you guys one more time. I asked it last week. What percentage do you give UConn of three-peating?
Very low.
I said 10%.
It keeps dropping now.
Keep
don't
it there.
It keeps dropping, don't it?
I still don't want to see him.
No, I wouldn't.
No,
I mean, that's a potential second round game for Duke.
I
don't want that.
I would not want to have to play him. I agree with you 100%. But I'm like you. I don't see him making a 6.
But yeah, if you go in as an 8 or 9 seed, you got to beat 6 good teams. And I don't think they have the talent.
Is that the biggest reason for the drop off? That
well, Harold, I hear is they don't play the defense the way that they have the last several years too.
Right.
I mean that they're.
I just wondered if that was.
But I'm like you, Brett. I would not want to have to play them in a game.
No, because they can upset somebody.
Right. Sure.
They could knock off a 1 seed.
Yeah, in a game.
Good enough to give everything they got. Okay, here we go. Coach Cloninger, Monty has the answer to your trivia question there. Treasure Avery.
Okay.
Treasure Avery.
I remember her.
That's a recent player.
Had a brother, right?
Tevin.
Yeah. Yeah. I do remember that name.
Yeah, she
Treasure
helped
Avery.
coach this year.
Okay.
The girls' team.
Okay. So went to Longwood. How about that?
I told you wrong. Verlander played at Old Dominion.
Did he?
That's where he played at before he was drafted.
Yeah, the biggest name on the list of Longwood alums I saw was I gotta go back to it. A basketball player, Jerome Kersey.
Okay, Portland Trail. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Went to Longwood.
Yeah.
Switch gears real quick. We got about 5 minutes left, maybe a little less. Biggest pickup so far in NFL free agency. Who has changed their team? Anybody? I'd automatically say Seattle.
Oh, they've definitely changed their team.
Didn't they pick up Cooper?
They got Cooper Flagg, and they also
not Cooper Flagg.
I mean, yeah,
I knew you was talking about
Cooper Cup.
I don't Cooper Cup, and
I wish he would go on and play with Seattle. Can he start? Can he start tomorrow with them?
But they also got the quarterback. Is what I was getting at. They signed Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold too. Yep, you're right.
And they lost DK Metcalf. They've made some big time changes.
Has any team improved more than that? Now we don't really know they've improved, but it looks like they have. But they did lose DK Metcalf, like you said. I mean they lost one, but gained
they
another.
lost Geno Smith. Is Darnold a big upgrade from Geno?
I don't
know.
And the Raiders are happy to have Geno. So I don't really know. Who were some of the other big ones, Brett? Some of the other ones that landed.
Justin Fields to the Jets.
Justin Fields to the Jets. That's we know we won't know till they play.
Yeah.
You know? Aaron Rodgers still out there. Where do you think he's going to wind up?
Is Pittsburgh still an option for Rodgers?
I mean, it looks like it's either going to be Pittsburgh or you keep naming another one. I can't think right now off the top of my head who the
and Pittsburgh got DK Metcalf, right?
Minnesota is one of the places I'm hearing that he may.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
That if they're not 100% sure that the guy from Michigan will.
Yeah, J.J. McCarthy.
McCarthy will start. So, really don't know on that one. Let's see. Ned says not on Withers, whose father was a great UNCC player.
Yep, Curtis.
Okay. UNC only 317 on threes last night. Is that?
That's probably true. They only made 3, and there's all made by Cadeau.
And he was 3 for 3. The rest of the team was 0 for 14. He says on that. Let's see. Don Revels. Let's see. Make sure I got the right one here. Enjoyed listening to STG this morning from. I'm jealous. I love that place, Key West, Florida. Don, you lucky thing, down there enjoying some warm weather and going to avoid, maybe stay another day if you're not planning to, because avoid these major thunderstorms we're supposed to have coming through here over the next 24 hours.
24 hours.
It's gonna talking like it could be really bad.
Sounds like it's no can't miss, doesn't it? Either.
It does.
In terms of bad weather.
Yep, it does. Let's see. By the time we have our show next week, there will be 2 rounds, or the first round will be complete.
Yeah, 2 days.
The first round, 2 days.
Be down to 32 teams
by then. Yep.
Yep. So, who is your pick to win it all? Nobody just jumping out. Obviously, I'd love to be able to say Duke.
I'm not going to say because I don't want to say.
I think there's a lot of really good teams, and I don't.
I'm saying Florida. I've said Florida for about the last 4 weeks.
There's no clear pick.
But the SEC's so good, there could be 3 or 4 of them that you could mention.
The SEC is great, and Auburn's been the best team in it this year. It's hard not to pick Auburn, but then
Auburn's good.
That's a team that's never won it. The coach that's never won it.
And one thing about them is now they've been so good all year. They're a target.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
The thing is now, you say they've never won. There's so many in there now.
Oh yeah, there's not a lot of coaches that have won.
Patino's won one, and Calipari, and it's real. I'm sure we.
I hope St. John's not in Duke's bracket.
Won.
Yeah, Drew.
I hope
Scott Drew.
Yeah.
I hope Patino or Izzo, either one's in Duke's bracket, because I want to be able to pull for them to go as far as they can possibly go. But I don't know. I mean,
I like Houston and Kelvin Sampson.
Yeah. How many teams you think there are out there that wouldn't be a surprise if they won? You don't have to name them, but about how many? Do you, 6? 8?
Oh, I'd say more.
That's good.
I'd say 10 or 12.
I would say
the parity is there. I mean, that's good. That's what we long for, I think.
I would think that you've got 4 just from the SEC.
That
could win it.
Yep.
They could go
Alabama,
the distance.
Tennessee.
Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, and Florida.
Yep. And some of the others are pretty good.
And then Duke. I throw Michigan State in there. Houston.
Yeah.
That's
so
7.
maybe 8 teams. Tennessee's ranked 8th, and I think Tennessee's good enough to win it all.
We're out of time. Thanks for tuning in. For Brett, thanks for Lenny filling in for Mike. I'm David. We'll see you next week on Sports Talk.